my colleague Kartikeya Sharma, who joins us over the phone line on more on this. Kartikeya, this is absolutely shocking. This is unheard of. This should not have happened. It just shows the sheer arrogance of Mohan Babu, who's a veteran Telugu actor apparently.
You know, this is a classic case of hero turning into a villain. It's a barbaric act. I mean to say, you know, a reporter getting assaulted with multiple injuries. I really don't want to get into the way the reporter was brutally assaulted, and I would say assaulted is the word. The act in itself is barbaric. No strong, I would say that it will not mitigate the situation for Mohan Babu, because he has actually crossed the Lakshman Rekha. You know, he has actually crossed the Lakshman Rekha, Maryada, which, exists between, individuals, people, doing their vocation, and someone who was just doing his job. Job, that's the word. To inflict multiple fractures, the provocation, this habit of people who are known film stars, the ability to think that they can get away, to think that, it's okay if they act, bigger than themselves in terms of with their outsized ego, and to behave like this, in which, assault becomes part of your so-called social repertoire. I mean, this has to be criticized in the strictest way. This has to, society has to condemn it, and people have to understand that this is not done. The Maryada of the Rekha has been actually crossed by him, and the society in one voice has to come together that this is not the way. And I would say that in one word, this is unacceptable. There is one word for it, which is unacceptable. There is another word for it is the barbaric act. The third word for it is, how people, this is like a hero turning into a villain. And the fourth word for it is there has to be an action, consummate action on part of the agencies, to bring people to book. Because, you might be a god on screen, a big person on screen. You might have a status because of the industry in which you work, reach, but then the law is equal for everyone. And here the justice comes to play. And here the law comes to play. And I think these issues are important here. For me, the larger issue is that law is equal for everyone. And there has to be justice for this barbaric act. I mean to say multiple fractures for a basic job of reporting. I have done 20 years as a reporter, and I have seen people getting agitated. I mean to say, to assault a person for doing his job, this is unacceptable. I mean to say, outrage is a small word for it, Neha.
Right, Kartikeya, and Kartikeya, it doesn't stop there. Let me also tell you, I was speaking to Dr. Adanki Dayakkar, who's a General Secretary, Telangana Pradesh Congress Committee. He told me that high on power, Mohan Babu is a repeat offender. Several such incidents have happened in the past also. And, let me also tell you, I was also speaking to my colleague Noor Mohammed, who joined us live. He said that the police was present at the spot and they were standing like a mute spectator while Mohan Babu dared to assault my colleague. And as you rightly mentioned, he suffered 3 fractures. I mean, what does this really show?
I mean, sir, you have if you had 1 fracture and not 3 fracture, multiple fractures, that's a matter of fact. So I will say multiple fracture. I would say, okay, if he had a bruise, I mean to say what right Mohan Babu has, and what sort of responsibility and what sort of a job the people who are supposed to protect and Aam Aadmi, if I may use the word in Hindi, have done their job. There has to be not only an outrage on this, there has to be some action on this. There has to be a message to the larger society that you cannot get away. You see, where does the dysfunction start for this? How do people commit such barbaric acts, Neha? Why do people commit barbaric acts? One fundamental thing is they feel that they can get away.
They're
when powerful people do it, the thing their mind is they're untouchable. It's basic psychology. So
Absolutely,
I mean,
they think they're emboldened, they can get away with it.
Emboldened,
And this
get away.
seems to be the case with Mohan Babu as well, you know. Like I mentioned, this is not for the first time that such an incident has taken place. Clearly, he thinks, he believes that he can get away with anything.
Because no one has taken an action. Such actions, you know, they often become part of your personality. You celebrate them. So, you know, you might be a rowdy, but then people would say, "Arey, wo to aisa hi hai. He's a film star." But there is a Lakshman Rekha that has been crossed. There's a line of Maryada that has been crossed. You know, a reporter for doing his job, you know, he ends up with multiple fractures. I mean, so look at the barbaricness of the attack. You know, if that thing would have landed directly on his eye, if the injury would have been lifelong, I mean, aren't these questions running in mind of people who see the footage? When you hold a mic and someone just pokes it in your eye, then I mean,
Attack
that's
on
the cost you
democracy.
pay.
It's a
That's the
direct
cost you
attack
pay
on
for doing
democracy.
your job. I mean to say, I'm getting outraged as a journalist because I feel that this is not the cost for doing my job. Our job, it's not even, you know, there is an issue of fraternity, one. There is an issue of law, second. There is also an issue of people not doing anything about it who were supposed to do the job of helping that reporter. Fourth, you know, this is an issue of person, you know, who's still sitting pretty. The police, you know, I would say the people who will investigate this case could have landed up at 7 a.m. in morning. Why? Does he want to have his morning cup of coffee and then, you know, open his eye and say, well, then it's time to talk? Why has he been given so much of time? Would this leeway gone to any other person, if not Mohan Babu? To me or to any other person? Maybe that person would have been interrogated in the evening itself. I mean, so these are the questions which people are asking. And I'm sure the agencies will have enough time to prove, enough time to give the message that the law is equal. Right. And I'm appalled. And you know, one can have fancy headlines, but Mohan Babu is just an act of an outsized ego, of someone thinking that cellular life can be lived outside in the real world, and someone in the real world needs to tell him that this is not done. This is not done. And this message has to be loud and clear.
And Kartike, also, you know, most importantly, when you have such an incident taking place and the police really not acting, they just standing there as mute spectators, what message does it really send out to the public? Tomorrow, anyone can get up and assault a media personnel. Because if Mohan Babu can do it, why can't I? I mean, this is essentially what it sends out.
Because as you very rightly summed up, Neha, because you tend to get away, then it becomes part of your personality. There is a section which says, well, this is what he is like. I mean to say, toxic behavior cannot be appreciated. Toxic behavior cannot be appreciated as part of a popular culture. Someone has to call it out. You don't normalize bad behavior. And this is even beyond bad behavior. That is why I'm saying. This is beyond bad behavior. This is barbaric. This is beyond bad behavior. I'm saying a Lakshman Rekha has been crossed. I'm using a strong word. Lakshman Rekha has been crossed. It's not even a matter of, you know, a person sustaining 3 fractures. You have assaulted a person for doing his job. This is just not done. I mean, you have to look at it from a different perspective. It's not a matter of just an injury. It's not. Suppose I would say that instead of 3 fractures, maybe he had 3 bruises. Then would that have been okay? No, that's not okay. How did you touch him?
Exactly.
I'm saying, how did you touch him? That is the point I'm trying to make. But suppose, you know, the 3 fractures wouldn't have taken place. Then how did you touch him? For a person doing his job, I think that is where the story is. That it cannot be normalized, this barbaric act.
Absolutely,
it cannot be normalized. And this message has to go down.
Absolutely, Kartike.
This cannot be celebrated.
Like, absolutely, Karthikeya, I completely agree with you. Like you said, a message has to be sent out. Now, I want to know from you, I want to understand what steps do you think the government should take, must take, to ensure the safety of journalists and also to ensure that Mohan Babu does not dare to do this again with anyone else?
I think the government has taken a lot of steps to protect doctors. You can't assault doctors. There are placards in hospitals when you go, which say that if you do it, you'll be booked under non-bailable sections. Deterrence. And I would say that the law making in itself is not a deterrence. I would say quick action is the deterrence. So you can continue to make laws, but it doesn't work. The deterrence work. I mean, say, have rape case fallen after Nirbhaya? No, tougher laws don't create deterrence. They are part of deterrence. Deterrence is quick action, quick justice, in-time justice, and, a procrastination in investigation in the process of justice is the problem. So I'm saying that this has to be done visibly. Justice is not also being about given. It has to be felt and it has to be seen. That is how societies function. And in this, there has to be a message. There has to be a message that this barbaric act is not okay. It is not okay to assault a person. It is not okay to hit a person for doing his job. 3 fractures, 30 fractures, 1 fracture, it doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is that you have crossed a line. And it will not be accepted. This is unacceptable. This line has to go. It's an unacceptable behavior. Whoever you might be, whatever your contribution might be, how big a star you may be, but it doesn't matter in eyes of law, investigation. That is where the message is. That is why we are doing this story. That is why this story is important. It's not about a person. It's about a person being assaulted for doing his job. It's about people being assaulted for doing their job. That is where the story is now.